The sleepover.
I got a call from my 16-year-old daughter at 11:30 p.m. one night. She was at a sleepover. She said she wanted to come home and she did not sleep there. I asked if everything was okay and she said, yes. So I went and picked her up. She didn't say anything on the drive home. And she didn't seem like anything was wrong. I asked her a couple of times and she said yes, she just wanted to sleep in her own bed. I turned the news on later the next day, and I find out that her friend's father killed everyone in that house that night. His wife, his daughter and the other friend that was at the sleepover were all dead. I cherish every day because of this.
You'll hope this isn't real.
We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He's in charge of the new construction, converting the kitchen into the master bedroom, while I'm on wallpaper removal duty. The previous owner papered every wall and ceiling. Removing it is brutal but oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel, similar to your skin when you're peeling from a sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kind of make a game of peeling, on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Under a corner section of paper in every room are a person's name and a date. Curiosity got the best of me one night when I googled one of the names, and discovered the person was actually a missing person, the missing date matching the date under the wallpaper. The next day, I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was for a missing person with dates to match. We notified the police, who naturally sent out the crime scene team. I overheard one tech say, "Yup, it's human." Human? What's human? Ma'am, where is the material you removed from the walls already? This isn't wallpaper you were removing.
Torture cell.
My husband tortured me for 8 years. Not just emotionally but physically. Some of the things he had me do were things you can even begin to imagine. We had an attic that wasn't fully done. That was his torture cell. He would drag me upstairs, inching me up there. For sometimes weeks at a time. But I didn't know we start this way. I really did love him at first, and I feel he loved me too. He was always kinda hard, tough around the edges. That's why I liked them. After serving in Iraq, he was never the same. He was over there for almost 2 years. Entire time I stayed loyal, and believed my husband was coming back. But the husband that came back was not a husband that left. He was very distant when he got back, and the other army wife told me this was normal. He would go up to an unfinished attic almost every day. When I confronted him on it, he would get aggressive and angry. He literally would go from 0 to 100 in a snap of your fingers. I never once remember going up to the attic, I only remember waking up there. Most of the time I remember sitting on the couch, or even going to bed. But at some point he would take me upstairs and change me up there. He would scream at me like I was a prisoner. And I had some information that he needed to get out of me. He would beat me, he would rape me. He would starve me, sometimes he'd leave me alone for a day or two. All while being tied up. Everything he had up there was made from wood and leather straps. He never used metal of any sort. He would turn me upside down. One time he tied me strictly using my left leg. He tied my hands behind my back, and my hands tied to my sides so that I couldn't fail. He left me there for hours. My leg felt like it was going to tear out of its socket. When he got back, he would use me as a punching bag. This is really hard for me to say, but this happened multiple times. And people always ask why I didn't leave. I think there's many factors that go into it. I love them. I wanted to be there for him and see him through this. But it didn't get better. After I got out of the third time, I spoke with a friend of mine. And she said I need to speak to a therapist. I should have spoken to a lawyer. The therapist recommended I needed to speak to him, tell him I was leaving, have a friend with me while I did this, and get my stuff and get out. I did just that, and he went ballistic. While I was grabbing my stuff, he stormed in the room, big kitchen knife in hand. And I look in his eyes that I've never seen before. This wasn't my husband. He wanted to kill, he had that look. I told him that I would do whatever he wanted, and that regardless of what it was, not to involve my friend. I said, let's go to the attic, and we can talk. As he went up the attic, we ran out of the house into my friend's car and drove off. We called the cops, and as we got back to the property, the entire house is on fire. No one else had seen the attic. He did this to cover his tracks. He sits outside my new house some nights, just sitting in his car. I don't know what he's gonna do next.
He knows where I live.
I had just broken up with my girlfriend about a week before. I'm not quick rebound, but I knew sitting at home wasn't a good way to get over someone. I was on Tinder, swiping left, swiping right, like you do. And that's when I stumbled across this beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, blonde girl that went to the same university that I went to. Her name was Kimberly. Now, despite being a little heartbroken, I was interested. And I even remember when she swiped right, I got a little excited. How, despite being a relationship for a year and a half, I'm no stranger to the game. So I was very confident I'll be able to go at least on a date. We started talking and things went great. I asked her out and she said sure. We planned to go out for drinks one night. She asked if we can meet up a few blocks away from where we had planned to get drinks. I said okay. Keep in mind I'm 21 at this point, and she said she's 18. She mentioned she had a fake ID. So that day she sends me the address to meet up, and I realize it's on a street corner. Just off campus. So I assume she must live nearby. At night I'm waiting on the street, and this car pulls up, rolls down the window just slightly. It says, "Are you Jake?" I've seen enough creepy movies to know if something's not right. I ask him right away, "Who are you?" And he says he's Kimberly's dad. And he wasn't about to let his daughter go meet up with somebody that he didn't meet first. I knew something was up, I just didn't feel right. So I told him to get lost and I start walking back home. Right then I got a text from Kimberly saying, "Why didn't you get in the car with my dad?" I'm not stupid, so I didn't respond. As I was walking home I looked behind me, and I could see the car slowly driving behind me. I was rightly freaked out at this point. So I take off. Actually cut through backyard, jump over a fence and end up on the next street over. I got another text, saying, "Hey, I'm here, where are you?" I'd be lying if I said I didn't think it was her for a second. But the car really freaked me out, and I knew something was wrong. As I'm walking down the street I can see your car pull up at an intersection right ahead of me, stop dead center in the intersection. I realized it was the exact same car. The window rolls down a bit, and the man screams out to me, "Hey, didn't mean to scare you off, I just want to have a conversation. You know, just before you meet up with Kimberly." Fuck that, I thought. I actually ran into a random backyard and stayed there for a while. After that I finally made it home, but I was scared the whole time going home. That's when I got the last text. It was a picture of my apartment, of them looking at me in the third window. This creep decided to take pictures of me while I was in my apartment. The text said, "You listen here, you little shit, you're lucky you got away. I would have tortured and strangled you." I called the cops and I reported it. A few days later they said they tracked the number, and it was the burner phone. One that they wouldn't be able to trace. It's sick that that man's still out there, and there was nothing we could do.